Okay, so we are going live right now. Great. So so just for those who are going to join us or who are joining us, we just finished at day 1 of our Vagina Monologues, and today was introducing the vagina, the words, the where and say list, how much we don't talk about vaginas, how much we never give it importance. It's never ever seen. It doesn't make an appearance in our own personal lives and also in relational spaces and even in transpersonal spaces, spiritual spaces. We don't see vagina being the center of conversation. So as I'm opening this conversation, I want to kind of just hear from each one of you. First is, how was the monologue today for you? How was reading it? And how has this journey been of, some of you are doing this for the first time, right? Yeah, Preeti has done it last time. Martina, were you there last time when we did it? Are you doing it for the first time as well?
No, this is my second time.
Your second time.
Well, it feels different. I feel like a veteran. Time was it was deeply empowering, and it all felt very new and very brave, like to talk about the vagina and to say all these things, and it felt very liberating. And I don't know how long ago it was, but now I am liberated. So I sit here and I feel more embodied, and that what we say here is what I'm living outside. Although I was thinking whilst we were doing this, that it's all very good and well what we say here and what we feel here, but what's happening in the bedroom? Like, if you're alone, that's also one thing. But when you're with another, like, how am I speaking for my vagina? And how am I articulating? Yeah, because that's the edge. Yeah. So I was thinking about that, and I think there's still some growth there for me. Yeah.
Thank you, Martina. We're just going to just continue. We'll go through a few cycles. Yeah. So what?
I would also like to say something here. Martina, I really resonate with that thing that you've asked. And I'm wondering, even outside the bedroom, in a space which is not even obviously sexual, the vagina is still there. And the vagina is giving us signals sometimes we don't want to register because it's asking too much courage of me, and maybe I don't have it in that moment, and I very secretly silence the vagina, register it, but silence is the mode of expression that my vagina is forced to take. So I think I'm curious about even beyond the bedroom, what happens to the vagina.
So it's interesting. One is curious about the vagina in the bedroom, and we have curiosity of vagina outside the bedroom. Let's keep the curiosity going.
So I'd like to share because my experience is completely opposite, I would say. When I saw Vagina Monologues the first time last year, I was blown away by how is this even possible? Because I've never seen something like this. And this is so powerful. I want to do this. And then when this year, the time came for me to actually step in, initially I was like, I want to do this. And I was so overwhelmed with the feelings that I had when I first received my script to read the monologues. And today it just felt like it was so easy. And I was just easily reading the monologues. But after the monologues, when we had so many sharings, is when I realized how powerful it was. And now when Annie and Martina are talking about getting signals from the vagina and am I listening to my vagina? And for me, it has been a complete disconnect up until now. For me, it was one of those monologues where I didn't even know it existed. And that's why when last year I saw the monologues on the She Stands Tall Project YouTube channel, I was, hey, where is my experience in all of these monologues? Why is nobody talking about that disconnect that I felt? And it took me so many years to realize that I was so disconnected. I never knew what it's like to listen to. I didn't know it had a voice. I didn't know she had a voice. I didn't know I could hear her. I could talk to her. And so my journey has been like, right now, I call myself a budding vagina who was blossoming at her own pace. And this was only possible when we could speak about it with women together. For me, it was, I didn't have that space where I could talk about my experience, and I felt it was only possible when so many women got together and held space for my experience. So I'm so grateful right now for my journey so far. And yes, I'm waiting to hear signals, and I'm waiting to play with those signals and look forward to it. So thank you so much.
I thought you were playing today.
She was.
Yes,
And you know,
a
it's
budding.
like now she's like doctor thinking, get out of this gala, then you, malala.
Yes, thank you. Blossoming, definitely.
Very true.
Today I was traveling using the metro, and the first time it came to me that, you know, how I can't itch and like how I can't express my itch in a public space. Like, you know, it's so easy for men to do that. And I'm so, like, I think I noticed the sensation after very long. Like, you know, it's just so automatic that, you know, you don't even register it at times. And I found myself moving just to get a little easy. And I said, you know, these are some basic sensations which I just forget. I am so used to not registering them at all. And there's so much beyond just the wetness and the hygiene and part of it. There's so much happening down there. Uh, it happened just in the morning today. I say, okay, I'm getting into the rhythm of performance.
I so resonate with you, Annie, there because I've been just drifting for the last about 3-4 weeks. And I was very worried today what I'm going to do here, you know, because I was just all over the place. And then my vagina just showed up, and you know, I took a leisurely bath, and I just lay there in my bedroom, and I just allowed it to feel the cool breeze. And it just showed up, you know, and I knew, I said, I'm going to be taken. She's going to speak for herself today. So yeah, the rhythm, I think she just found me, and I just went along with her, you know. So, but yeah, that was me today. But I so resonate. This is such a powerful movement. Every time I participate, every time I hear the monologues, something shifts inside me, it started with Rekha saying, how do we call our vaginas in our day-to-day life? And I said, damn, I've never addressed it as anything, in Hindi it's called chutya, choots, which is a curse word. So anyways, the good girl that I was supposed to be, and I tried to be all my life. I mean, I just felt very dirty calling it that, I didn't think that word represented my vagina. And so I never called it anything, and I never saw it, and I never, it was in the cellar or the attic somewhere. Its needs were never addressed. And just being, I think I went through 42 years of my life until I came in touch with Rekha and we started talking about the vagina. And I just went through 42 years of my life without giving it a place anywhere in my life. Neither in relationships. And I guess, acknowledging it, even, is acknowledging myself, my presence, my needs, and my wants, and what I don't want. It's all of it. So the more I see it, it's like the more I see myself, the more I see myself, the more I see it. Yeah, so thank you, ladies, for always, taking me along that journey. You carry me forward on that journey. So I'm full of gratitude for it.
Preeti saying this, I feel like saying that, it's reached a point where you cannot not see it anymore, right? It's like I've tried to not see it, and now I cannot not see it. Like there's no possibility I can't see it anymore. It's very interesting.
And I hear what, sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying I'm seeing it everywhere. Fruits, flowers, sky, trees, everything, everywhere. Just can't get over the idea that this is it. Sorry, Darshana. It's just in the flow.
No, I hear what Preeti was saying about not calling it anything. And in my house, my mom used to always tell me, did you do this there, down there, niche? Like she would ask me if I cut my hair down there, and she would never say the word. So I never knew what to call it because it was always it. And there was so much disgust and shame. And while we were speaking right now, I just realized, when was the first time I felt that I had a vagina, or realized that I had a vagina? And that was when I first started to menstruate, and my skirt was red and stained, and I was asked to hide it. That's when I thought, something is wrong here. There's something that I have that I shouldn't be showing, I shouldn't be sharing. And, so it was always these words that disconnected me. I didn't want to look at it. I still struggle with looking at her, but at least she makes me realize that she's there. So that's the difference. And I just wish, and like Poonam shared earlier in her sharing, I just wish that girls, while growing up, have that connection and don't lose that connection. Yeah, that's a prayer in this conference as well that I would like to put out.
Yeah, that's so powerful, Darshana. as a young girl growing up, I didn't even know the vagina was a separate organ in the body. You only think of the urinary tract as the only thing that's there. I didn't even know that it existed. And like you said, when I menstruated, and I was like, where is this blood coming from? And it took me like a couple of years after that to figure out, yeah, these two were separate. You know, the vagina was a separate place and it had its own function, and yet it was only a biological function that I've kind of found out about. All this did exist. Yeah, so I guess for the, like you said, the prayer that for children, for girls and for children, I think to understand their bodies wholly and not see the reproductive organs or their penis or for that matter their vaginas as something dirty, something to be ashamed of not to be spoken about, not to be touched, and it's just to ogle at, to lech at, it's to be. I think we all need to grow more wholesomely and holistically.
And as you all are sharing this, I suddenly remembered the word in my house. I don't even know if it's a Malayalam word, or is it a my house word, or like my mom used to call the vagina Mimi. Mimi, so wash your Mimi, and it was very, so it was never something. I was never told to hide it or don't show it. I don't remember that, but it was called Mimi. I suddenly, that word, I was been thinking yesterday, what is the word that we used to say that? And because I grew up seeing grandmothers, because I come from Kerala, so it's very humid. So, and even today, Bangalore is very dry. So my vagina, I have noticed, reflects the weather. It's always reflects the weather. And when I come to Bangalore, my vagina becomes dry. I really have to care for my vagina. But the minute, if I'm driving to Kerala, the minute I cross the border, no, literally my vagina is wet. It's wet all the time. It's almost like, you're like, oh God, like it's just wet in Kerala. And so you are always seeing, because the Kerala women used to wear not underwear, but they had something called ondaramunda, so it was tight, so there were many layers. It was cotton which absorbed, so it was always, I grew up seeing grandmother wiping this. So it was never it was only in school, and later on you saw that you can't really do that, so in a way I judged. So in a way it's not like my mom or nobody stopped me, but I went on the other side, the modern, you don't do that. You don't see anyone around, so you get ashamed. So because people who do that, you call them primitive, or dehati, or like they don't have class, they don't have class. That's how in India, and that's also part of our colonization history. Because the old generation of people, if you go to villages, women are very comfortable with their vaginas. Women are like, if you go to Orissa and many other inner parts, you will see women naked, having bath, and nobody is staring. We also have to see how far back is this, and what the price that we also pay many times about with education and being modern. There's also a price to that, because it's a different subscription there to be a woman. It's a different subscription, and many times that is not the power of the vagina, but it's the power of the head. And just 2 or 3 days back, since this conference and all this is happening, in the last, I think, a month, I was so head activated in the last 1 week, especially I was beginning to have this anxiety. So I felt like so one of my friends suggested to go to osteopathy. So I found a beautiful, phenomenal osteopath. And that's when she touched me, she said that my right uterus, there was some pain when she touched, their soreness, and she did the work. And so she said, it's your pelvic. So then I realized, oh my God, I am always very connected here. But in the last 10, 15 days, I had forgotten I am doing being earth, being, living. And I had I had gone completely here. And after the work, last 2 days, I have these dreams. And in my dreams, my body is so alive. And suddenly in the last 2 days, I found my energy back, and I suddenly realized that my vagina is wet, my vagina has pleasure. And I realized it's not just even about the sex aspect. Like the vagina is such a resource, that not connection and being reconnected. Suddenly I realized, oh my God, I'd forgotten her. So I'd forgotten a part of me. I was becoming, in a way, I would say I was becoming more like a man than a woman in some ways for me. That's the only way I can identify that I'm resourcing from some other source, not from my vagina and my womb. So last 2 days, I've been taking time just to move my pelvic, get my pelvic and vagina down to the earth and be there and be in the, the malasana. And, so it's opening up just that position. So, it's something that we are never taught. We are not taught at all. Yeah. And in that sense, some sense of that womb female goes missing. We don't meet the womb female. We meet the smart, intelligent, modern woman, but not the womb woman. The womb woman. Yeah. And yeah.
Thanks, Rekha. I'm sitting here just going, Everything you are saying is landing. What should I want to share? I'm thinking of Eve Ensler, because she had a quote about how, like, when we disconnect from the body, we disconnect from the body of the earth as well. But also when you're talking about how now on the experience leading up to the conference, you've like returned to connection to your yoni, how like that happens with our menstrual cycles as well. Like when we get stressed and stuff, how it becomes delayed by a few days or longer, So there's that wisdom of the yoni and the womb. Yeah. And I love what Preeti shared about how she looked after herself today. It was so pleasurable just hearing about you having that bath and lying on the bed, airing out your vagina, it sounded like. And again, I was reminded, like, if you want to connect with your vagina, you have to slow down. Yeah. You have to slow like right down. Yeah, and that's a challenge, I guess, these days, because we would much rather be doing other things or be distracted. And I saw in the video when we began, there was a thing about yoni steaming. And that was such a nice reminder. I was like, I've actually got some herbs that a friend put together for a yoni steam. Like this feels like a good time to rest and to yoni steam. And what's so nice, she shared with me like how to do the yoni steam. And she really like advocated how messages come to you when you yoni steam, to like to prepare the steam, and as you steam to like rest or lean over the bed for I guess like 10 minutes or so, and then to journal afterwards. And when I did it once, like, yeah, just the stuff arrives, yeah, again, the wisdom of the yoni, like if we slow down, she will talk. She will guide us. Yeah. But I need to lean back into that practice because it has been a while.
Martina, hearing of wisdom, I've had a query, I think, for the longest part of my life, which is that the wisdom of my vagina is often in conflict with the analysis of my mind. And I'm just connecting this to the act, the flood that we performed together. When you can feel wetness for someone's presence who you know is not right for you. And your mind has all the logics, yet there is a signal that your vagina is giving, and you're just confused in the middle. I mean, it's insight, it's wisdom, it's confusion. Should I act? Should I not act? What about, I'm going to get myself hurt, but my vagina is not listening to me. What do I do?
That's very interesting. That kind of brings me to one thing that I want to share, but I'll begin with something. I think my relationship with my vagina was there, but I never knew what that was. So as a child, I had diagnosed depression. So my only way to deal with that depression was masturbation. And I would do that, like, if I was alone, I would just masturbate. That's it. I would do anything else. That's what I would do. So I used to feel that sense of elation. So there was some relationship, I don't know what that was, frankly, but that was my place to go to. Every time I was just lost in the woods kind of feeling. And then that was the only way to come back home. I don't know right or wrong, but at some point I came out of the washroom. This was like a Sunday morning when everybody's at home, and I used to wear bloomers back then, not panties, and the whole bloomer was red. And I was like, shit, I have done something horribly wrong in one of those masturbation. Now my mom will get to know what I've been doing, and my life is screwed. I had no idea how to deal with this, seriously. And then I there was no way. I had to tell her that something has happened, because of course she was going to wash my clothes. I wasn't washing my own clothes at that age. So I told her that this happened, and she's like, yeah, whatever they told you in the school, that is what it is. And that's how my period started. And I was like, okay, deal with it kind of place. And then I think I was just talking to a friend yesterday about this, that because again, when I was young, every time my clothes would get soiled because I didn't know how to handle the period, right? It's a new thing. So every time clothes would get soiled. So there was this shaming that would happen by teachers. Every time in the school, children would laugh. Then you would become a laughing stock and things like that. So that anyway happened. And but incidentally, like coming to what Annie was just saying right now, all these years as an adult, the years of sexual abuse and the forced sexual acts that I've been put into, I was made to believe that it was my libido that was not getting satisfied, because of which I was put into those situations. And that was the reason why everyone was in that place, because my libido was way too high and there was no way anything could satisfy my vagina. And I really started to see that truth. There was not the truth, but I see it as truth. I started to really feel that as if it was my creation. All that rape and abuse was my creation. And I started to really, started feeling like if this place has to be hidden, cover it under, like where I was always coming back home to the place. It was like, okay, you don't go there, you don't touch this, you don't do this, you don't do that. Eventually manifesting in the form of various infections, illnesses inside the vagina. And the interesting thing is the flood also. I do get orgasms and I do create a flood. And I always, like, when this began, I thought this was very interesting. There was something nice, but I was told only characterless girls have this flood happening. The girls who have character don't have these things. So I didn't know what was that. And there was so much confusion around this. And I kept wondering that the only reason there must be for all the things that I've been through sexually, the abuse and rape and everything, is because I have so much need to have sex. But it was not the need to have sex, it was the need for closeness. And when we were just having this conversation, when you said, I think the whole body was vibrating when you said we have two hearts, because every time I would fall sick, I wanted to have sex. Not because I wanted sex, I wanted someone to be there for me. And it's so interesting because these things, how they are twisted, and how how they are just presented to you, and how you, like, I was told that I'm this person who's sex obsessed, and then my ex-husband would always go tell people she rapes me every day, which wasn't the truth of it. The way the information comes tossed around, and it's very. And he would go back into these public situations and say that she rapes me every day, so we need to bring in more people in order to satisfy her. And it is today from here, I know I'm shaking. Today from here, I knew it was not what that was, but to just even accept the fact that it was not my vagina creating this. Even if I have a high libido, it is just an expression of me. I don't know if I can even conclude that today, frankly. These are stories that were presented over these years to me. And this is also a story that my mom has told me, that you're hanging around with boys because you have a very high sex drive. But that's I don't know, it's so different. And it's such a contrast of things when when we, like, I think in upcoming conversations we'll also have this part where it feels like the vagina is making you unsafe, where it is not. It is the one causing the lack of safety, or it's the one causing all that stuff. It is actually not, because I am a living proof of this. When I was married, living with my husband, supposedly with a man, I was raped, I was bullied, everything. I was molested, I was anything you talk about had happened. And now for years I live alone and nothing has happened. It's not my vagina that does this. It's not. It's not. And it is such a big revelation for me, and I wouldn't have realized until I would have lived alone to recognize and analyze these paths and understand that this was not my creation. This was not my vagina's creation. All my vagina wanted was togetherness, love, companionship, be it in the form of a parent structure, or be it in the form of friend structure, be it in the form of a romantic relationship structure. And no, it is such a beautiful testimony, of it. And even when I was like, I didn't know what I was signing up for when this vagina monologue thing was happening. It was my first time I've done this. I didn't know. Just saying the fact that I am doing a vagina monologue was so uncomfortable. I was like, oh, I don't know if to say this or not. And then slowly it became easier and easier as I spoke every day. And then I met a friend. I told her that I'm performing in vagina monologue. She's like, how do you even say that word? We can't say that word. I said, right, that's what you get to deal with. We can say that word, we can get there. And the whole week, I think I messaged in the group also when we were coordinating, the whole week I've been feeling so sexual, so orgasmic. I've not had everyday orgasms, but I had some, yes. But I've been feeling so orgasmic. I have been airing out. I have been roaming around naked. I've been doing all sorts of stuff. I've been sleeping naked. And I think universe just creates what you want. You need to be resourced for the point. And I guess this is a conversation happening between my vagina and universe. I'm really not a part of this. Like, as I'm having to make it happen. And it's a very scary place. Why? Because it constantly makes me feel like, oh shit, if I'm feeling sexual again, all that will happen again. But that's not true. That's not true. And to constantly come back to that fact that if I feel sexual, it's just my body's response to something. And what Annie also said, like there have been situations where I was surrounded by multiple men and I am wet and I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't want to be in that room. I don't want to be touched by those people. But I am wet. I don't know why. So this is and this is what they would tell me, that you are ready for it because you are wet. Wetness is not the sign of readiness. And I don't know how to solve that puzzle, to be true. If there's any wisdom to spread on that, it's most welcome. But I'm just curious, like, yeah, I think it's just lots of things, exploring, understanding. This journey of a year or few months into understanding the body in the senses I've never been able to before. I just always felt that I am this person who needs unending sex, and the only way I can do it is through, like, I mean, that's the only way, reason why I've suffered so much abuse and stuff like that. And now I know all this is false. So I think I would really say it in this way, that Vagina Monologues has brought me to be fine with that home that I had. I now come back home. This last week I've been coming back home, and it's safe. It's safe. You know, it's very safe here.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Just even take a moment, yeah. Just thank you so much for sharing that, Divya. You know, just giving a place for that. Whatever you share, it takes a lot of courage to voice it. This way, yeah. Yeah.
And I just one little thing that I feel very called to. I work with this organization that supports children, girls, little girls that have faced sexual abuse and horrific sexual abuse. And all I want them to do is Vagina Monologues now. I'm just sitting and like, okay, I need them, like, not need really. I mean, I'm like inspired that they just need to go through this Vagina Monologue, break free from what they've been put through, and remind them that their vagina is not that. You know, it is not that. You know, it's just I don't know, I can't tell you that every time they ask me to make a strategy, I come up with strategies like this. So,
And more power to you, Divya.
And there's also a Hindi one that you could do, you know, there's a whole Hindi monologue.
wow.
So you could do the Martina, you were saying something.
I was just saying yes, Divya, and I know, and I hope that many people watch and listen to your story, because there's so many pearls of wisdom in it. And to see your transformation and to hear your transformation and your story is a privilege. Yeah. And it feels like, I don't know, like you're sharing it anew or something today. Like maybe it's the excitement of the Vagina Monologues, but something is so alive in you. And I guess I'm just like sending that back to you, just to say like, wow, Divya, wow. Yeah. And this is going to help many other women and young women, because there is a brainwashing that happened and a manipulation and a gaslighting. And I wanted to mention, you know, it's not a discussion to open now, but about getting wet when you don't actually want to be engaged with anyone around you. My friend Keely shared with me this author, her name is Emily Nagoski, and she has a book called Come As You Are. And she talks about the biological response, and how it's exactly as you're saying, like it's not, or it doesn't always mean, yes, I'm ready, I want this. I'll just leave that there, yeah.
Thank you, really appreciate it.
Yeah. And just to add on to what Martina said, I want to again name that vagina's wetness has nothing to do with sexuality or wanting to have sex, because the vagus nerve is connected to the vagina. Okay. So the vagus nerve is connected to the vagina, it's connected to our throat, it's connected to neuroception, like we know in polyvagal theory. So your own smells, sounds, so many things can directly influence your vagina. So sometimes as a protection, your vagina, the dorsal vagal system can automatically create softness because so that you're not harmed. So your vagina is not harmed. If you're even going to be raped, your vagina will become wet, because if not, your whole, that part of your body will be torn and will be extremely painful. So there's a dorsal vagal response of the freeze response can also cause wetness in the vagina. Okay. And the ventral vagal, of course, can cause wetness in the vagina. And I think even the sympathetic system, when we are very angry or playful or laughing, I think Rekha also wrote that, you can get wet. So the vagus nerve is very much connected. The vagus nerve endings are connected to our vaginal. So it has nothing really to do with sex. And the only person who can really decide what's happening to me is the woman. No one else has the right to tell her what's happening to me. Just shut your mouth. Let me speak. I'm already speaking here. Yeah. So give me time to listen what's happening here. And sometimes wetness of the vagina could be just fear. Yeah. So these are things I think nobody teaches us, nobody tells us, nobody lets women decide, what's happening to you. And so just your story, I'm sure, is going to give courage to so many women who are hearing, and so many men who have these wrong notions about what is happening with women. Stop telling us what's happening to us. We'll figure it out. Just step back. So I think this is something for women and men to, I think, know about vaginas. These are like vagina workshops. We literally need to have vagina workshops everywhere.
We do.
Yeah, we really need to have. And tomorrow we have, tomorrow morning, we have Vicky Noble coming, and she always in our class used to talk about how during their feminist movements, they used to literally do that. In the 70s, they would explore each other's vagina. They did vagina workshops. From her is before I knew VM, I knew about vagina workshops in my women's spirituality class, that such things happened, So as women, what can we do? I'm also looking at the time. That's we also have a blessing now at some time that we'll have someone join us for a blessing. But just with there's so much that we began today, right? We saw death, vagina, and death, vagina and birth, vagina and pleasure, vagina and pain, vagina and fear, sadness. It is our heart. So it's a language. Just take a moment to just see what is each one of you sitting, and maybe I invite also Bravo Penelope. Penelope's in spite of a vagina workshop. Maybe I also, as we are kind of coming into the space, also inviting everyone who has been here to also share what's present with you, and with your vagina. Well, how's your vagina right now? What's happening with your vagina? Mine really needs space. With all this sari, I don't know who created this kind of clothing. It's like I never wear it. It's like, to just take off everything and just done for the day. The way I wear skirts inside my sari, one side is fully cut. So I take all my sari skirts, I completely remove the entire side. So one whole side is open. So it becomes a wraparound. So, when my legs are not stuck inside one cloth, so my legs can move. So, I just do my own thing. So I just wanted to voice that because of the way I'm sitting is very difficult to sit in a sari. Yeah. So yeah, maybe just through voice, I'm seeing chats, so as we are closing, just to see what's present, what would you like to kind of voice? 3 or 4 words, maybe, or a sentence or 2.
I'm feeling a lot of joy and gratitude to be able to talk about this and to hold space and just be and just. In my head, I was also sorry. I'm sorry. It's a little more than a few sentences, but in my head, I was thinking, I wish this wasn't a powerful move and it was just a normal thing, but it is powerful, and unfortunately it's powerful, and yet fortunately it's powerful. But I'm so grateful and I'm feeling a lot of joy to be able to do this. And maybe a year back or maybe 2 years back, I wouldn't have been able to speak about a vagina, my vagina. And now I am able to. So I'm so grateful for all of you here. And thank you, Rekha. Thank you.
Thank you, Darshana. Vagina. Say it again and again.
I guess for me, I'm on the path of deepening my connection with my vagina. And I've just realized over the last 2-3 weeks how much trauma I've stored there. And becoming present to it, it's shaken the very core of my being and my existence. But I've also realized that, we're always contracting our vaginal muscles. We're always in this fight or flight mechanism. And just relaxing it, being more in touch with it, it eases me, it grounds me. And I feel lucky, privileged, honored, grateful that I got a chance to get in touch with it, give it a voice, and be a part of this beautiful, beautiful sisterhood and movement. So thank you, Rekha, once again for creating this safe space for all of us. Thank you.
We will leave here then in silence. And is Shreya here? Yeah, Shreya is here. Wonderful. So thank you so much, sisters, for our today's conversation. It was precious, And I saw some in the chats that it was overwhelming, and it's okay. Overwhelming is not a bad thing. Let it well over and pour out. Let it pour out of the pot. It's okay. Let the tears flow. Let the tears flow. And let the wetness down or the wetness, let the wetness go out of here. Let the tears roll, let the tears go. Have a good cry. You don't even cry. So that's also okay. And we will meet again tomorrow. We've just begun the conference. And to all the sisters who read the monologues today, bravo. Actually, our entire cast was there today. Everyone was there. And so from tomorrow and the after, we have some who won't be there. And so have a good rest tonight. Rest well. And now as we are tuning out, one of the things that we also do is, from all this, to really guide our bodies and our vaginas into rest. That's again our, coming into the dorsal vagal system of rest and slowing down with the ventral. Yeah. So now we have Shreya. So I'm gonna invite Shreya in here. Shreya is gonna take us
Thank
through
you, Rekha.
the evening prayer.
Imerurate hoy gogoner dipkulire. Imerurate hoy gogoner dipkulire. Hemontika korlo gopon anchol gire gire gire. Imerurate hoy gogoner dipkulire. Gare gare Jolalo, aponalo, sajalo, doritre, imerurate, oi gogodite kulire. Shunya ekon puler baba, doyel kokil gahena. Ash, jore jai, jore jai, jore jai, nodir tire. Chaka bosha pisha, dipalika jalalo, jalalo, aponalo, shonalo, dore tire. Imerurate hoy gogoner dipkulire. Hemotika horlo gopon anchol gire gire gire. Imerurate hoy gogoner dipkulire.
And with that gentle rocking, may you all take your hearts and your vaginas into rest. And we open again tomorrow morning at 6:30 with a morning prayer. And then we have a learning and growing with Elder Vicky Noble. So see you all then. Have a beautiful evening. Take good care. And as you can come on video, say bye, come off the microphone, blow kisses, hugs.
Thank you. Thank you, Shreya.
Thank you, Shreya.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you. Vagina.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.